All right. Hello, LinkedIn and YouTube. We are live today, and we're going to have a conversation with Hamish Imrie from Pomerol Partners. We're going to talk about manufacturing analytics for SAP. We'll even talk about some business intelligence reporting and how to make things look visually appealing. Now, before I bring Hamish into the stage, I do want to ask you guys, where are you joining from? Because Hamish is joining us from South Africa. So really interesting. I haven't had anybody on a live stream from South Africa before, from any part of Africa, actually. So would be really exciting to know who's joining from where. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure the stream is working well. And, welcome to those who are joining us. We're going to learn a great deal today from Hamish. Okay, I see we've got a bunch of people that have joined us already. We've got Yogendra from India. Hello, Yogendra. All right, let's see. We've got another India. We got some folks from Ghana. All right, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining. We've got Mexico, India, España, Morocco, Dubai, India, Cape Town, South Africa. So we got another one from South Africa. Woo! We got a big fan from India. Hello there, Ashutosh. Thank you for joining us. Algeria. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in Hamish to the stage. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hello, Kate. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
How's it going?
It's going very well. In lockdown, as you know.
Wait,
we also have lockdown.
Why? What happened? What did you do?
I'll send you a newspaper.
Really? Yeah. I've been living under a rock. Thank you. Surprisingly, I've been home for a couple months myself. I thought I was just doing it for fun. So, South Africa, how are things looking over there? I mean, how long is your lockdown expected to last?
We've actually got a big, we're going to get a lot of news tonight about what's going to happen for the forthcoming month, but we've had a lockdown for about 4 weeks so far. We're about 2 weeks behind the curve from the rest of the world. We're a little bit more remote from the rest of the world. And so, yeah, I think what you guys are experiencing in New York is probably on its way to South Africa, but it hasn't arrived yet. Got about 3,000 people infected with the virus, but that's all.
Wow. Well, as yeah, wow. I hope you guys don't get hit like New York. That's been pretty terrible. And I know you're in South Africa, so for those tuning in, if you're experiencing any connectivity issues or lags, it's because we're doing a live stream across continents. It's looking great for me, Hamish. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about manufacturing analytics for SAP, but before we get into that, I do want to talk a little bit about Pomerol Partners. What do you do there? How did you guys get started?
Sure. So Pomerol Partners, it's about 8 years old now. It started in the UK. I used to live in the UK. It's one of the many countries I've lived in before. And I was actually working in the financial services sector at the time. I met someone at Deutsche Bank where I was working. His name is Frederick Heffer. He founded Pomerol Partners with me, and we were using data to really help the bank drive a lot of savings. We were using some of the cutting edge tools at the time. At the time, we were using a tool called ClickView 10. And, we did some really exciting things there, and we thought we could take this to market and really help a lot of other industries and a whole lot of other clients, which we have done so far.
That's amazing. And, about your clients, I did want to get a little bit a sense of what type of clients do you work with? Are there specific industries or regions that you're focused in?
Sure. So we started in financial services. It's what we knew at the time. We were there. So we did quite a lot of work for different clients in the city of London. We branched out to pharmaceuticals pretty soon after that. We were contacted by a few pharmaceutical companies. What we actually found was very nice, taking a lot of concepts that we learned in financial services and taking those to the pharmaceutical industry. We solved a number of difficult business problems within the banking industry, and we took those to help pharmaceutical companies, help them with their CRM and their sales analysis. I think there was an in-market sales problem. We helped a few companies with that. But after that, the world has literally been our oyster. We've helped clients in every single continent. Pomerol Partners has worked in more than 25 countries around the world. We've done work for airlines, pharmaceutical companies, a whole lot of heavy engineering companies as well. So I've been to factories in Mexico, in Michigan. I've done work in New York City as well. We've been everywhere, and we've done work for a whole lot of different industries.
Yeah, that's great. I love how data analytics is one of these fields where once you are able to apply it to, let's say, financial services, that's transferable to pharmaceuticals or airline industries, really applicable to any specific industry or space. So that's really great.
Yeah, we find it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you have the same problems. Hey, how do we get data out of our systems? Why can't I get my reporting out of this system from there? We come with a slightly different approach. We are very passionate about business, so we very quickly can talk on the same level with our customers, no matter what industry they're in. And we like to say, hey guys, how can we help you save money, and how can we help you make money? And typically, the way Pomerol has worked, we've often only really like to do a job if we can really help a client save money in dollars, or make a lot of money. And we've got some really good use cases in different industries of how we have helped them, clients merge data from different systems, and the results are, we've improved the bottom line for companies.
Yep. So saving money and making money sounds like your motto. So that's great. I think there's no company in the world that doesn't want to work with somebody like that.
That's true.
Yeah. Our topic for today, it's manufacturing analytics for SAP. For those who've tuned in, let me know if you work with SAP. And, for those who don't, maybe Hamish, can you give a very brief overview of what is SAP? What is it used for?
Sure. SAP is a large business enterprise system. It runs companies. I would say it's probably one of the biggest ERP systems in the world, in the top tier range. But essentially, I would say, to simplify it, in the 80s, you would have a company would run 5 different disparate systems, one for payroll, one for planning, one for accounting. And SAP came along, and it's a truly big system that can run an entire company's operations. It's very process orientated. But the heart of it is the finance system. So you can run your payroll, your HR, you can do all your accounts payable, accounts receivable, do your manufacturing, your planning. You can do it all in one system. It's a massive system. It's got more than 10,000 tables in the background. Very expensive to implement, very long to implement. It's actually very hard to implement it correctly. And I think this is where one of our gaps are. I used to actually be an SAP implementation consultant in my past life for my sins. And, we used to find that these implementations, that would take a long time, and often the reporting was done last. And people, we used to just spend all our time trying to get the system right, and we would push the reporting down to the very, very end. And as a functional consultant, I would have to pick up the pieces, and I would be on all of these projects where people just weren't happy with the amount of data they were getting out of SAP. So I've spent a lot of time trying to help people get data out of SAP, and I understand the users' frustrations. I've been with them on implementations where I've helped map out how the business currently looks, what the new business will look like after they've implemented SAP. And I've been with them on that whole journey. So I actually understand what the job titles are and the job roles are and how they use data to get their job done. And, once the system's been implemented, they need the data to do their job. I mean, a system's only as good as the data you can get out of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at the comments, there are a couple of people that are saying, so Ron says, mega respect to you who can visualize data well and make things stand out and sing. He's weak in this area, so he's hoping to get something out of this session. Afolabi's working with SAP ECC. I know we're going to touch on that later in the session. And then we've got Navi who works with SAP BO. I guess that's what, business objects, right?
That's correct, yeah.
And Analytics Cloud. And I saw Jennifer Cooper also works with SAP. So we've got a bunch of people on here who have worked with the tool and some who are not familiar with it, so hoping to learn more. You mentioned ERP. Can you just briefly talk about what is that? I know it's enterprise resource planning, right? But what does that really mean?
It's basically a piece of software that can run all of your different business processes from across your company. I often allude to it. I call it a hand. I say if you've got a hand with 5 fingers, each finger can represent a different area of your company. So, one of the fingers can be sales and marketing. The other one can be your distribution, inbound logistics. The other one could also be manufacturing. That is an ERP system. At the core. The great thing about that is if you think about the fingers in the hand, ultimately, if you do something in one of the areas, it might have an impact on another area as well. So, for example, if you do a payroll posting in the HR module, it impacts the finance system. So, with SAP, if you do something in one of the little fingers, like if you do something in sales and marketing, or the documents get posted into SAP into a central place, and there's very, very good document linking between the areas. So, for example, you could make an order, a customer could make an order, and very soon that order could turn into a purchase order to buy goods to fulfill that order within SAP.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, very interesting. So I know we're going to talk about SAP and reporting, and before this session, I did some research, and I know there are a lot of challenges with working with SAP because it is a very complex piece of software, and there's just, you said, 10,000 tables in the background, right? So it's complex, it's expensive. What are some other challenges in working with the system?
It's very hard to get data out of SAP. We've often had challenges. I've been on at least 15 different SAP projects now. Every single project, I've got data out of SAP a different way. I mean, often a client has got in-house software which we have to use. We've used a whole lot of different other tools. We've even got data out of SAP manually. But one of the biggest challenges is to get data out of SAP. I don't think SAP was designed to share data with external parties easily. And especially with the rise of the new business intelligence tools, especially the in-memory tools, they're very data hungry. So definitely getting data out of SAP is a challenge, but also once you get the data out, it's how to model that data, how to and how to structure that data so you can consume it for the end users.
Okay, so getting data out, how do you at Pomerol Partners, do this for clients? Is this part of your service offering?
It is part of our service offering. If a company, most companies that have SAP already have a large IT department, so we'll often work with the IT function to get the data out. If they don't have a tool, we'll provide one. We'll do a direct connection to SAP. We'll use a function called RFC read table, and often we will consume the entire table. So, for example, if a table's got 15 million rows, we'd have to download that entire table probably on a daily basis. It depends on the table. We've got a chart of the different kinds of tables in the system, and for each table, we've got an optimal way to extract the data. Some tables will extract the entire table every single day. Other tables are indexed. So what we'll do, we'll do a delta load, and we'll take only the most recent updates. But it depends on the business use, on the different business scenario. Yeah.
Okay, got it. There was a question here. Oh, before I get to the question, Jennifer agrees. She said, totally agree with the data extraction challenges. Out of all the platforms I've worked with Cognos and SAP Business Objects is the most challenging. Yes, thanks for sharing, Jennifer. So Navid's saying that simple visualizations are very complicated in SAP tools. What have you guys done on the visualization side of things?
I mean, that's a very good question. There are a lot of business intelligence tools out there nowadays, and I see the common mistakes. If you're an SAP user, if you use SAP on a daily basis, you're probably used to an environment where there is a lot of data on your screen. And I find one of the tricks about reporting SAP data is to not forget that. You'll often find someone will build an accounts payable dashboard based on SAP data. But they aren't used to, they haven't worked in an SAP environment before. They're reporting on their data like they would, this is just another project. And you just find that these applications that they build are just very, very data light. There's probably a pie chart, a couple of high performance, high level KPIs. when you're an SAP user, you often want to see a lot more data on the page than most BI developers are used to. And I can give you a couple of examples of that, but certainly the applications we make, there's a lot more data on the screen than a normal, let's say, Power BI report or ClickView report or Tableau report, which you would see out there in the industry. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, David Gonzalez says ugly, ugly data export from SAP front end. So
it is. I
so
mean, for example, if you're exporting data from SAP, date formats, very, very difficult. You might pull out a list of data and company codes. You know, when it comes out, sometimes it drops to zero. When you pull out another table, it doesn't drop to zero. Very, very hard to get this right and consistent. It's very, very frustrating, agreed. But, you know, you get to know the different tables. You get to know the different ins and outs of what SAP does and doesn't do. And, yeah, you eventually get the hang of it, let's say.
Well, that's good. That's good. So what's the typical size of an SAP client that you work with?
Well, we've never worked with any of like the top 5 global companies in the world. We've worked with a lot of very big Fortune 500 companies. I would say our sweet spot are companies that are between, let's say, $6 billion US in turnover and $15 billion US in turnover, and maybe less than 3,000 users. If a company is bigger than that, they've probably invested more than $100 million in 5 or 6 different reporting tools, and they don't want someone like us to come along and interfere with, say, their very expensive enterprise that they've built. So, you know, we've got a number of clients. They've got SAP. They might have inherited SAP before a merger or acquisition split. They've got the system. They've spent a lot of money on it, but they probably don't have the money or the resources to spend another $10 million on a very expensive SAP Business Warehouse implementation or another very expensive tool. So, you know, it's those kind of clients which we can really, really help. You know, we can visit them, we can sit down with them, we can figure out what their pain points are, and you know, within 3 or 4 days, we can have some very meaningful analytical applications up and running for those users. And you know, the great thing is that we understand. Again, we understand SAP. We understand the business processes. So, you know, we can go to a factory and go, hey, do you make to order or do you make to stock? We can go to an accounts payable and go, do you do 3-way matching or 2-way matching? You know, we understand the processes, and behind that, we understand the different tables which we need to get.
Absolutely. And then, so I know we're talking about SAP, but do you work with any other ERP systems?
We do. We've worked with most of them. Today I was working with SAP Business One, which is kind of like a distant cousin of SAP. We worked with SAP Oracle, JD Edwards. Yeah, most ERP systems I've worked with: Sage, ACPAC, this Pastel Evolution, Pastel Partner, Pastel Pro. And what I really like is that the first ERP system I ever learned was SAP. And I think SAP's got very solid master data structures. And the structures that you learn in SAP really helps you to try and figure out how these other systems work. So, yeah. But the bottom line is, if it's a large system, yeah, we've probably worked on it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, when you're working with these systems, you know, how many different tables would you extract on a daily basis?
Well, we've got a client. One client we extract 300 tables a day.
Wow.
We're hitting 300 different tables. There's 9 different business areas. Often with our SAP work, we're not just hitting the SAP area. We might also be hitting a planning area as well, a forecasting area. We often take data from SAP, from a company, and we are also taking data from Salesforce as well. You know, a lot of companies are using Salesforce and SAP at the same time, which causes a whole lot of problems in itself. So, yeah, but I mean, you know, a project might start off taking 10, 15 tables, but you know, you would not expect to be taking anywhere less than 100 tables from an ERP system on a daily basis. I'll give you an example. The purchase order, in purchase orders, just POs, you probably need 10 or 15 tables, you know, because there's company code master data, there's PO, vendors, material descriptions, you know, there are a whole lot of tables around that. So, Yeah, at least 100 tables, I would say.
All right. That's a lot. Let's see. David, a question is, are you using SAP Analytics Cloud? As this is what he says SAP has been promoting recently.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we actually don't use any SAP reporting tools itself. We take SAP data, we take the raw underlying tables, we
Okay.
bypass the SAP reporting stack completely. I find the SAP reporting stack takes a long time to develop, it takes a long time to change, and it's often not fit for purpose. It's very template orientated. And we like using in-memory reporting tools where you can slice dice, you can click on a customer or a vendor, and you can immediately see what's going on. I can give you a few examples coming up now. A big example for us, we like to use a dual calendar in a lot of our applications. And, we find the SAP tools, they take a long time to make. They're very, very expensive. And we find them very embedded into the IT hierarchy of a company. So typically, we try to bypass all of that, and we'll go and extract the SAP tables on a separate system or in a parallel system or from a data warehouse, and we'll build a full independent reporting stack.
Okay, and then do you use Click or other BI tools?
Yeah, we've used all the mainstream BI tools on the market to develop the front end. That's ClickView, ClickSense, Microsoft Power BI, Tableau we've used as well.
Okay.
And to extract data, there's also Click has now got a new tool called Attunity.
Attunity.
I think they've just changed their name actually.
Oh, really? I've heard of Attunity, so
yeah.
it's interesting if they changed it.
I've also used another tool called LavaStorm to get data out, but that's also changed name. I'm trying to think of what I think it's called Data 360 now. To get data out of. But the bottom line is that there's a function in SAP called RFC read table, and that's a little window that SAP has in the background to allow you to extract the raw underlying tables.
Okay, got it. So you bypass SAP.
And all of these tables would use that function. So no matter what tool it is, it's using that remote function call.
Got it. So there's a question here from Alex Stevenson, and he says it's probably a side point. So might be something that you follow up with later. But he says that there are a small number of tools that can help with understanding SAP metadata, underlying data structures. For example, Sapphire from Silwood Technologies. Have you used the product or any on any of your client projects?
We have indeed. We've also built up our own repository over the years. We find the best. We use a data discovery tool. The best way we can analyze data is by using ClickView or ClickSense. It's very easy to download a table and quickly do row counts, column counts. We've also used it with Data 360 very successfully. And also, we're also finding now that the Microsoft Power Pivot is very good at analyzing table structures and the data inside a table. So yeah, we are aware of those tools. We have used one or two of them. And we've also got our own internal IP space.
Okay, great. So it looks like Masya is saying Attunity is now Click Replicate and Click Compose. So we've got insight.
Oh, very good. That's all.
Irene is asking. Sorry.
The name might change next week. So.
Okay, good. Irene is asking if you have a preferred BI tool that that you utilize.
That might be a complicated question. I have a preferred tool just because I've been working on it for so long, which is ClickView version 12. However, clearly now the industry standard is ClickSense, which is, I'd say it's the newer cousin of ClickView. So yeah, I prefer using ClickSense, and also we're doing quite a bit of work with Microsoft Power BI. But for me, I'd say if I was to go to a client now, the tool I'd be talking about in the current sense would be ClickSense.
Yeah, you typically work with whatever you're comfortable with, right? Like what you've used the longest and what makes the job easier.
Yeah.
All right. I think you wanted to share a demo. Are you ready to share your screen?
I've got a few. I just got a few snippets or interesting things to share. So yeah, I will share my screen.
Awesome.
If you can't see it, please let me know.
Okay, great. So while you do that, I'll just remind people that we're talking about manufacturing analytics for SAP. Hamish is from Pomerol Partners, and Pomerol Partners is doing they're doing a lot of great things. So you should go ahead and follow their company page on LinkedIn. They put out a lot of great content, use cases. They've got a ClickSense write back extension that you can go and check out. And yeah, Hamish, we can see your screen now. So you're
Lovely.
live.
So, I mean, this is not pure manufacturing per se, but there are a lot of good examples on the screen. So it's pertinent to show this one first. And the first thing you'll see in the top left-hand corner, it's something we call cross-module analytics. And, we are talking about the different fingers that SAP have, or, SAP can do business processes from different areas of a company. And, the best applications we have brings in data from the different areas. So, for example, if you're paying a vendor, and their payment terms are 30 days, you might as well go into the warehouse and see what their on-time delivery is. And hey, is this vendor delivering the goods on time? If they promised to deliver something by the 14th and they didn't, and it holds up your manufacturing process and costs you a lot of money and penalties, maybe you shouldn't be paying them on time. Maybe that's an incentive for them to deliver things on time. And there are a whole lot of examples like that where you get data from different parts of the system to drive, let's say, operational efficiencies. But the key thing that I want to show you here is that when we like to visualize SAP data, we often have a dual calendar. You can see here we've got 2016 measured against 2015. A dual calendar, and the one frustrating thing I find about SAP is that often people want to compare time series, and there are one or two transactions that allow you to do that, but often you'll have to extract a report, put it into Excel, extract another report, put it into Excel, and compare. And you can see that if you do a data model in the right way, this dual calendar functionality of SAP data is really, really magical, and it helps a lot of people, and it saves a lot of time if you're an analyst. So here I'm just comparing one whole year against another, but I can also compare 1 month against the prior month. So I can go March, this March against last, or I could go against the month before, like that. And in a click of a button, I have got all my analytics updated on every sheet in my application. And we go to a lot of customers, and sometimes they say they don't need a dual calendar, but you give it to them and you can't take it away. So that's the first thing. There, I've got we've got a number of examples here. There's a application in SAP, or there's a program. So let me take a step back. We do two things with SAP data. The thing we do is that we replicate SAP programs in the system. And so, for example, there might be a program to there's a program called the multi-level order report. This is a program that takes a long time to run in SAP, and it displays your entire bill of materials and what's going to be out of stock and what's going to be in stock. This program often takes a while to run for each sales order, and when it does run, you then typically want to get the data into Excel to analyze it, and it's a rather cumbersome process. An example of this is that we've rebuilt the entire in multi-level order report program in the BI environments. So we've built it in Click, we've built it in Tableau, built it in Power BI, and so yeah, what we're doing is that we're taking these SAP programs out, putting it into these BI tools, and really helping the users get their data a lot quicker. And these tools are often in memory, so we can then really enhance these reports with more data. And an example is over here. So here are a whole lot of sales orders. This report is meant to tell you what is available and what's not. And you can already see there's a sales order here where not all the items are ready to be manufactured. They're missing some inputs. I can go further down. I've actually got a little bookmark here, so I will select it. And so I found a sales order now where there are 158 lines to be manufactured, and there's some errors. We are missing some parts. Now, typically, this would be a rather cumbersome screen in SAP, but we've tried to make it as aesthetic as possible. And if I scroll down here and I select one of these items, I can then see my expanded bill of materials. And you can see that there's two parts here, and this is the error. I need to bring there's a finish date in the past for one of the materials. And if you're a user of the SAP MD4C program, you'll recognize the screen, but it's not an SAP. It's another tool, which is a lot easier to see and find and analyze. So that's one example. We've taken that whole program and now we've even turned it on its head. So in MD4C, it's mainly sales order based, but now we've made it material based as well. So as soon as we've built the data model, we can really change how the data is viewed and sliced and diced. I can go out of that now, and I can also go to, I'm using another tool now. This is ClickSense. What you were looking at there is ClickView.
Okay.
All the tools, all the applications we've built in ClickView and ClickSense. This is an application to see which materials are going to be out of stock in your warehouse based on the manufacturing orders in the system and the incoming purchase orders. So we've taken two areas of the ERP system. We've taken the inbound logistics with also the outbound demand, and we've color coded the next 20 weeks to show a buyer or an ERP planner what's going to be in stock or out of stock from a material point of view.
Yeah, this looks great. I love this. It's looking really great visually, and so I think this wouldn't be possible in SAP, right?
This wouldn't be possible in SAP, and I mean the thing why we love this is that actually you can see here we've got the material and we've got the safety stock over here. We've color coded these lines, these 12 or 15 weeks out, based on the safety stock of a material in the system. And you can see here that things are going to go red if it's going to fall below 20% of safety stock. A tool like this can save a factory a lot of time and a lot of penalties. If they've promised to deliver something on time, especially if you're a heavy industry and let's say you're making elevators or you're making bespoke heavy items and you promise to deliver them on a certain day. And when you start tooling up your production line, you find that you've got missing parts. A tool like this is a really nice, simple, and effective way to see if you've got missing parts. And what's really interesting about this is that we implemented this product or this application for a customer, and we reduced their missing parts problem. But actually, there started becoming a lot of green on the application, and it turned out that the buyers realized that they were being monitored for this, so they were starting to overstock the warehouse by a large factor. So we had to then build another app, and we've actually extended this app to become we've built a variant of this called the Warehouse Inventory Optimization Application. And if you've got a warehouse with $50 million worth of inventory, and you build an application like this, which can help you optimize your inventory, let's say by 5%, or help you recalibrate your safety stock levels or your lead times within SAP, you're making a material impact on a company's bottom line.
I think material is an understatement, man. That's you're making some serious impact there.
Yeah.
We've got a couple comments and questions coming in for your demo, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
All right, so Trish is asking, is this a real-time update of data into Click?
I'd say 3 years ago, real-time update was not possible, but with new datas, with new tools, you can get, let's say, probably half an hour old. If
that's pretty real time to me.
If you need it, yeah, it's real time enough. We often if you're doing manufacturing. In SAP, there's something called an MRP run that often happens overnight within the system, and that happens once a day, the MRP run, and it updates a whole lot of purchase orders and production orders and everything. And a lot of our apps, they try and mimic what happens in the MRP run. So a lot of applications we only need updated once a day. but certainly there's a client in Wales, SAP client. We update the tables every 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And they've got a big screen on the factory floor to see how many parts are getting made or held up, or where they are on the shop floor. And that's every 15 minutes. And that's a massive company, very, very big tables. And I'd say it's almost as real time as you need.
Wow, that's great. Alyssa says this is a good example of how data can change things in an organization. I agree. Very good example. Afolabi says he's interested in the design done inside the ClickView and ClickSense, and if you can share any tips and tricks around that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the screen we're looking at now, there's a lot of data on this screen, and it's unusual for a dashboard. Nowadays, modern dashboards, you got a couple of high KPIs, a few charts. My rule with SAP data, you want to put a lot of data on that sheet, because the user, they're often using a lot of data. So that's my high level. We've got at Pomerol, we've got a chart. It's been distributed on the internet by different people, but we've taken our own variant of it. It's about which chart to choose. So do you use a bar chart in this case, or a line chart, or a Miko chart, or these kind of things? That's number one. And number two, we're also now subscribing to the IBCS, the International Business Communication Standards philosophy. Very, very nice organization. They've got a wealth of experience on how to present data in a meaningful way. And when we go to customers now, we actually try and recommend that they sign up to the IBCS methodology and the way. And it just means that any user in the organization, when they look at a chart, they're looking at the same chart and the same kind. We've got the template of IBCS, and when we go to a customer, we'll try and we wouldn't want them to adopt the IBCS, but we'll try and do a little bit of a retrofit, so it works for the customer. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would highly recommend everyone listening to visit the IBCS website. They've got a lot of free resources, and they've got a couple of nice YouTube videos as well. And it's I really think that is probably one of the most understated trends in the BI industry right now, and this is standardization.
That's IBCS, right?
Yeah, International Business Communication Standards.
Okay, so I'll put a link on LinkedIn once we're done with the session. And we actually had a question if this session is going to be available, a recording or the slides. So we won't have slides because that was actually a live demo. But we will have the recordings, it'll stay on LinkedIn, and it'll be on YouTube on the Story by Data channel as well. All right. Ready for more questions?
Yeah, I'm going to just go back to...
Okay, yes. I guess we can stop sharing. Stop sharing. I'll remove it. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, there we go. Here we go.
Yes. Okay, we're back. All right, so you've built a lot of apps, right? That, a lot of apps, a lot of models. What does your roadmap look like?
Well, we want to... We know SAP HANA's coming up, so I think a number of underlying tables are going to change. The business processes aren't going to change, but a few of the underlying tables are going to change. So we need to tool up for SAP HANA when it's ready. We're not seeing too many customers with SAP HANA right now. We're also trying to help SAP customers that want to go to HANA, but they aren't ready. And, so let's say when they move to SAP HANA, they might implement like a big business warehouse, a big system, but they need to delay that for 2 or 3 years. And we can really help give them analytics at a fraction of the cost as a stopgap between when they're doing this massive implementation. So, that's one of our short-term strategies. But apart from that, we've got a number of really, really good SAP applications that we've built. We've got a whole lot more on our roadmap. We want to do lots more for the finance area as well. We want to do we're building a treasury one now. We've got a warehouse implementation application. which we want to take to the next level as well, with a little bit of predictive analytics as well. There's a product by Click, built by Click, called the Click Insight Bot.
Oh yes, I've seen a demo of that. Oh my God, that was so cool. I was at one of the Click conferences and I saw that. It was really cool
Very
stuff.
good.
Yes.
So we want to put the Insight Bot onto a lot of our SAP applications. Not every customer will need it, but it's not nice to have. And yeah, I mean, look, we just want to carry on building more and more SAP applications to help customers. And when we go to a customer, we don't believe in reinventing the wheel. It's we'll say, well, we've got a whole lot of experience, we've got a whole lot of templates and a whole lot of examples, and we can use them for you to help you. So instead of going to a customer and starting from scratch, we can probably have analytics in a couple of days. And we're talking, this is with massive amounts of SAP data.
Wow.
We can do a lot in a very, very quick time.
I think that's very transformational for companies, especially since there's so many challenges and complexities with working with SAP data.
Yeah.
All right, question on master data governance. So Afolabi's asking if you can talk a little bit about the importance of SAP MDG, master data governance.
Yeah, I've worked with master data governance, master data a lot, especially when implementing SAP systems. So yeah, I believe it's very, very important. I think it's done, most SAP implementations, the master data is done quite well. It's the big problems are when the data is coming from different systems. So if you have a Salesforce implementation and an SAP implementation, you often find there are a lot of issues around about there. I would like to say that when Pomerol Partners does reporting applications, if we find any issue with master data, we wouldn't want to fix that in the script. We would often show the error on the application itself, and we would like the error to be fixed at source. There are a lot of BI reporting tools where the developers they try and tape up data issues with code. A, that's not sustainable, and B, yeah, it's not great practice. I mean, you do it if you have to, right. But if some data's been calibrated wrong or set wrong, it's very good to flag that and actually let the custodian know. Pomerol does have a write-back extension, which we discussed last week. The write-back extension is very, very good for master data management itself, and alerting the custodians on which data hasn't been maintained in the correct way. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We have a lot of specific SAP technical questions that I wouldn't be able to answer if my life depended on it, but I'm sure you can answer all of these. So let's see. Rapsing is asking, is there anything on HANA Studio and its integration with R coding in it?
Not that I'm not too familiar with the HANA Studio right now, so unfortunately that's a little bit probably about 2 or 3 months away from the HANA Studio right now.
All right, and there are several questions about using different tools. There's Tableau, ClickView, ClickSense, Power BI, and basically I know you've already given your feedback on this, but Ron is asking, do you feel Power BI is mature enough now to do the majority of what customers want? And then just a lot of questions on when to use which tool. Is there a right tool to use? That which one works best with SAP?
You could get all these tools to work with SAP. The first question, let me go back to the first question, and that's about Microsoft Power BI. Yep. I think the front end of Power BI is becoming very robust. So yeah, you can use Power BI for SAP reporting. In terms of scripting, sometimes to especially merge data from the different areas of SAP into a nice holistic data model. Power Pivot, which is the back end of Microsoft Power BI, it takes a little bit more effort. So I'd say Power BI is good for the front end. If you're building a very complex SAP application, you might run into a few challenges with Microsoft Power BI in the background. But you probably want to host all your data in a SQL database if you're going to be using Microsoft Power BI. So that's one of the workarounds. Yeah, so yeah, I'd say Power BI is ready. If you use SQL Server in the background alongside it. Yeah. And the other question I forgot. My
The other
apologies.
question was, there are so many tools that can be used. Which one is the best one to work with SAP data in terms of business intelligence?
Yeah, you see, like, I'll have to say something, but with a disclaimer. So I'd rather not. But look, there are a lot of really good tools out there. As you know, I think a lot of tools are as good as the developer that sits behind them. And a lot of tools are as good as the architect that they sit on as well. So, I've seen very, very good tools in a very bad architected environment. And, I hear a lot of people complain about tools. You often find that the complaints come from a bad implementation. So, and people complain about SAP, actually, to be very honest, in itself. And a lot of those complaints come from, again, bad implementation. So, yeah, I wouldn't say, I would say ClickView. I'd say the Click stack. I wouldn't say ClickView or ClickSense in itself, but I'd say the entire Click stack is a very good, attractive option for an enterprise to consider because it's not just ClickSense now. There's there's a whole ecosystem around the ClickSense product, which is very compelling.
Right. Yeah. The way you were describing it, the implementation part of it, it's almost like cooking, right? We have the right equipment, we've got the stove, the recipe, the ingredients, but it's all about how you implement it. You can make a great meal or you can not. So
Very true. Very true.
a
There are
question.
a lot of companies that have gone bankrupt due to failed SAP implementations, and
Oh, wow.
you just have to do a quick Google search and see that some companies have lost hundreds and hundreds of $1 million on bad SAP implementations. Stock prices crash, they get bought out, they got to stop trading for 2 or 3 months. A bad implementation can affect people's lives, jobs, livelihoods, careers. So anyway,
Wow.
continue. I digress.
No, that's crazy. I'm actually going to Google that. That's interesting. I would never think that system implementation can bankrupt a company, right? So that's big. Princey Singh is asking, can we run business warehousing without SAP R-3 implementation?
You can. Yes, you can. You don't need to use SAP to run SAP Business Warehouse. I don't know why you would, though, because SAP Business Warehouse is a very expensive product. And it's a kind of expensive product that needs to go with an expensive system like SAP. But, if you want to run SAP Business Warehouse, there are a lot of alternatives which are a fraction of the price. So, and the whole play behind what Pomerol Partners does and what I do and all of my colleagues do is that we understand the underlying data structures in SAP, and there's no need to spend an elaborate, extraordinary, large amount of money on these big, cumbersome tools, which I believe aren't fit for purpose anymore. SAP ECC has been around for a long time, but in-memory BI, the in-memory BI industry's only been around for about 10 years now, and these tools are ripe for processing and analyzing SAP data. But yet you still have companies running these very expensive SAP business warehouses to the cost of millions of dollars a year, and you don't necessarily need that solution every single time.
Got it. Thank you for that. I know we've kind of run over our time, but I wanted to just ask you one last question. And, where can people go to learn more about Pomerol Partners, about you and the work that you guys are doing?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Hamish Imrie. We have a website, pomerolpartners.com. I'm Hamish at pomerolpartners.com. You guys anyone's welcome to contact me. We're passionate about business. We love helping people. If anyone has any issues with any SAP data or any data that matter, we're happy to help. We're passionate. We love sharing our experience. It took me a long time to learn everything I did, but I appreciate that I learned a lot of it by people helping me and sharing their knowledge with me. So, we like to do the same. So if you're passionate about what you do and you have a problem, let me know, and I'll happily have a cup of tea with you and help you out.
A virtual cup of tea for now, right?
For now, a virtual cup of tea. And just to say, I might be in South Africa. I do work all over the world, and I have. So, I'm just a screen share session away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Hamish, again. And a reminder for those, if you're interested in these topics, definitely follow Pomerol Partners' LinkedIn company page, because they do put out great content. And thank you for those who joined the live stream as well. All right. Have a good, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kate. Bye-bye.
Bye.